of how the summer conditioning went overall for the guys in the program?
I think it's been a tremendous start for sure. I think it's been the shortest summer of my career. We had 6 total weeks with the guys, so definitely quick. I think there's probably a few things. I mean, the big challenge is, if I don't know if everybody realized, we have 50 new scholarship players on this football team, and for us, our culture is our X factor. It's our competitive advantage. It's always going to be. That's never going to change for us. So the biggest thing we've had to emphasize, not just now, but this entire offseason has been our culture and getting those 50 new guys to really fit into it. And I can be honest, I couldn't be more pleased with where we are from that standpoint. I was doing some, and for me, these are the markers that I really like to talk about. But you talk about little things like academics, okay? 4 years ago, we had 36 missed academic appointments. 3 years ago, we had 22. 2 years ago, we had 13. We had 0 this summer. Okay, that shows you a little bit about the culture and how these 50 new guys have bought in, but then also how the new guys on the roster, the other guys on the roster are helping get them into that. So I think that part's been critical. You look at those kind of things. This team has had more hours of community service than any team we've ever had here before, and that's saying a lot because we've always taken that very, very seriously. But we'll be up over 500 hours of community service in 6 weeks. So we had the least amount of time we've ever had in a summer, and we have the most community service. So what's that tell you kind of about where the culture is and where these guys are bought into things? I think that's as important as anything else that you'll talk about. So overall, really, really pleased with where it is from a standpoint of we had 6 weeks to get a lot of things done, but culturally really pleased with where the team is.
And then just following up on the culture element, like whom do you rely on to help instill that when the returning players are, I guess, so small in number compared to the 50 new ones?
I think that's where you see a lot of guys that have really stepped up. I couldn't move forward without talking about Daniel Highshaw and just how impressed and proud I think all of us are for him. And he's in the best physical, mental, spiritual shape of his entire life. But what guys like him have done, I think we had some very sharp leaders in the past. And when you think about, you go back into the Rich Millers, the Devin Neals, I don't know singularly that we maybe have those kind of guys, but our leadership council is as impactful as anyone we've ever had. And what I mean by that is when they want to get something done, they get it done. And that's why we've had such a good summer of getting these guys into things. So really, really outstanding job by our leaders. But I think Daniel Highshaw has been the guy that's really, really stepped up the most into that role.
You mentioned the leadership council there, Justice Finkley being a newcomer, being on that. What has he done to stand out to you, and what have you seen from him in earning the trust of his teammates?
For him, it's action. He is as actionable as a human being as you're going to meet. When you watch him, he just exudes everything we want in this program, from the way he goes about it, his strain, how he brings others along with him. But you think about to come in and be on a leadership council in a program you've been on for, at that point we did vote 4 or 5 months. That says a lot about your character as a man, and he's been a tremendous asset. Obviously not just on the field, but what he does behind the scenes and how he brings guys along and shows them how to work and have a professional mindset and put the team first. He's done a tremendous job stepping in.
Regarding those newcomers, Lance talked a lot in the spring about how they seem to get comfortable pretty quick. And maybe some of that's portal stuff, they're older guys, whatever. You've obviously kind of talked about that here. I wonder, what does that do for camp physically and just knowing that, that's not a question. So those guys can start today and do what with it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that you'll notice and continue to notice is it's just such a competitive environment. And I think that the biggest thing those guys embraced was that off the rip. And I think part of that's it's the way we recruit guys. As we talk about, we guarantee one thing when we recruit you, and that's opportunity. And that doesn't matter if you're a fifth-year portal guy or a first-year freshman. So I think one thing we do is we set the expectation very clear when we meet with these young men before they decide to come to Kansas. Because you're not necessarily just recruiting the best player, you're recruiting the best player for Kansas. And who's going to be the most successful in our system, and how can we put the best players that are also the best for Kansas in that? And I think we did a great job of that. Obviously, the main trial is coming up here, in the fall. But to me, the biggest thing is they've all embraced the competitive nature of the program, and that's if there's one thing that is palpable and you can really feel is that edge of kind of the chip on the shoulder where I think we operate better with the way and the mentality of our program, that competitive edge, you feel it back like never before. And there's just even things that we were able to do this summer, just from a standpoint of how we challenge these guys. Their response, it's a response because they want to compete and they want to win. Nobody's safe, and so they're going to do those things because we don't really have a lot of ones and twos right now. We got a lot of guys that are fighting for spots. And so you saw that a ton this summer, which I think ultimately it's what allowed us to have such an effective 6 weeks. And it was short, but like I said, I feel like it was very effective in the sense of, I mean, you know, there's probably some teams in the past that you put them through some of the things that we challenge these guys with mentally this offseason. They came together, but to me it all comes back down. It's that competitive edge, the competitive nature, just where they are, and they want to compete and they want to win. And they want to do what it takes to get there.
Last year you talked about how impressive Bryce Foster was just with his physical traits from day one. Are there any other newcomers, whether they're freshmen or transfers, who stood out to you in a similar way?
I think you have a little bit of both. So you have some guys that have been in the program that are developing there. You know, I think of a Carson Bruin who's a young guy that maybe when he first got on campus, I go, where's his body going to develop into? What kind of tight ends he's going to be? He's developed tremendously in a year. I look at a guy like Marcus Calvin, who maybe, you know, they didn't have a barbell in their high school weight room. When he came here, he was wildly underdeveloped. He has been incredible, and where his developments come. You look at John Kamara. We have a KPI system where we kind of score these guys and it's solely based off their athletic markers: ability to accelerate, decelerate, change direction, max velocity, speed. It's more or less every variable you could think of. We have 33 different KPIs. He's a KPI king on our team. He has the highest KPI score. So you talk about a linebacker that has some of those measurables where he's developed into, and then you have like a guy like Tommy Dunn that's now been in the program for 5 years. But I don't know if you guys got a good look at Tommy today. His body looks totally different. What he's done to his body, how he's changed himself, physical condition, everything. So you have some of those guys that are in an incredible place, but then you have the newcomers like you're asking about, like Emmanuel Henderson. We haven't had even Jason. He's the one guy I would say, you know, him and Jason Bean go head to head. I mean, he's the only guy we have that's ever ran a faster velocity than what Jason Bean's hit. So you have some of those new guys that come in, and Bengali Kamara's athleticism is always gonna catch your eye. You know, Enrique Cruz, who was a late newcomer in the summer, comes in and he has got great feet. Bryson Canty, you know. You talk about these receivers, all these new receivers. I mean, they look the part. You know, you see them out there today in their gear. They look the part of where they're at. So, I think we have a good dichotomy of both things going on, where you see some guys that have been in the program that are really developing, and then you have some older bodies that come in and really kind of wow you, like that Bryce Foster. But I got to tell you, I've been as wowed by the guys that have been here and the guys that have come in of just some of the development this year, which ultimately goes back to what I talked about, the competitive edge. When you have a competitive program, people develop. It's what happens. Because everybody wants to win, everybody wants to compete, and we've reaped the rewards of that for sure this year.
Coach, all these topics of physical development, mental preparation, spiritual development, growth, leadership, maturity. Where does Jaylen fit from his spring and summer work now?
Yeah, I think the biggest growth for Jaylen has definitely been mental. It's just not even close, and it's the approach he's taking to the day-to-day. Football has always been extremely important to JD. He's got a really rambunctious type personality, right? You haven't really seen a lot of that this year in the sense of when we're doing things. He's really focused on one thing, and it's what does he need to do to take this program to the next level. So you see there is I kind of talked to him about, like, it's like the game day eyes you see when JD has them, you know, when he's got that mode and he kind of locks into that. You see that every day now, and you've seen it since January. So to me, the biggest step he's taken, it's been the mental part of just how he approaches things. He's the first one in the building this morning. I mean, he's pulling up damn near right behind me, you know, as we get in here in the morning time, and he has got a different aura about him and in the way he approaches day to day. I think he's always approached the game in an elite fashion, but I'm just talking the training, the team text, everything that how he approaches it is game-like mindset. It's been really impressive to see.
What have you seen from LeeSean Williams from a strength and conditioning perspective?
Well, I think in general, we just talk about overall the development as a human. You know, you guys will get a chance to talk to LeeSean at some point in time, but when he came here, as he'll kind of explain now, he wasn't in the best mental state of really being ready to do what we wanted him to do here, and you could tell that too physically when he came here. You could tell he hadn't done much, and so he really, I don't want to say struggled, but he just took to be able to do what we do. It took him a long time to get there. To see where he's at now and the mental shift he's taken, and when you talk to him, he's I have the love of the game back again. Like this is I'm happy to wake up and do this every day. I'm passionate about playing again, and we could see that this summer and how he approached his training and how he did everything. So physically, he's a totally different athlete now. But to me, it's always the mental side of things, that when you have an athlete that goes into it, that they're enjoying waking up and being where they are every day and doing what they love to do. That part's been tremendous, and you can see it in how he goes about it every day.
Calvin Clements is another player on that leadership council.
Yep.
What have you seen out of him on and off the field?
Huge steps. For him, he's always been a pretty strong guy. You know, like when he came in here as a young guy, he didn't need a ton of strength development, but just movement, power output. You being able to take that strength and apply it on the field. His markers have tremendously grown in this short year we've had. But the leadership stuff and same thing, like that approach has totally changed. But to see him, if you guys, I mean, how long you've been following him or know Calvin very well, but he was a quiet guy when he got here. You could barely get 2 words out of him. To think that he's now on the leadership council and he's confronting guys when they're not meeting the standard, he's uplifting guys, he's vocal, just the way he operates in a day-to-day basis, it's tremendous to see. And he's had as much growth as anybody. I'm glad you mentioned his name. He's been tremendous for us.
Anything else, Coach Lee? All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.